Hey, happy Monday. I hope everybody can still count to 10. You know, I worry about it every Christmas and every 4th of July. The fireworks companies get rich, but usually there's an accident along the way, and hopefully neither you nor your family went into any of that. We saw quite a bit. I was in the boat parade at Merle's Inlet Saturday morning, and then we had a birthday party for Paisley Saturday afternoon with hot dogs. It was about as American as you could get, and they did off just a ton of fireworks. It was beautiful. But back to work on Monday. This didn't line up. I've talked to you about it before, but we try to do 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Well, June, if you noticed, we were in court every week in June, every week without exception. And now in July, we have several weeks off. So I think there's like 3 weeks off, and then the very end of July, we're back in court again. But we had a lot to go over, and got quite a bit done in June. But today I wanted to talk with you. It's a question that kept coming up about juveniles. So we have people that are, depending on what crime it is, people are usually juveniles under the age of 17. And if you do a much worse crime than that, it may be, 15 or 16, and it's just changed 2 years ago. You'll remember that bit of legislation that was raised the age. All of that was a big change for juvenile justice. Juveniles do a lot of the same crimes that adults do, especially in this day and age that we live, where there's more and more gang activity. Kids between the age of 15 and 25 are much more affected by this gang culture than you don't see a lot of 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds in it, and you don't see a lot of 12-year-olds in it. It happens, but it's usually that middle school area that is really affected by it. But if kids get in trouble, they don't go to J. Reuben Long Detention Center. They don't have their photograph made. They are treated differently. If they are to be detained, they have to be taken from Conway or Merle's Inlet or Carolina Forest to Columbia. And the police officer has to go up there with them. They have to have an order to keep them. And then they have to come back basically like every 10 days for what we would refer to as an adult bond hearing. It's not a bond hearing for juveniles. All the terminology is a little bit different, but the big difference is you don't stay at J. Reuben Long, you stay at the Department of Juvenile Justice, and they hold you up there. Then you keep coming back in front of a family court judge. You don't go in front of Judge Culbertson or Judge Nettles or Carricker or Hyman. You go in front of a family court judge. And that family court judge determines how to sentence you in way of a plea or after a trial, what is in the best interest of the child. And sometimes that cuts for you, sometimes it cuts against you. In other words, it may be something pretty small, shoplifting or possession of cocaine, where an adult, a judge may give them time served and probation. They may say this juvenile is in need of being restructured and we need to lock them up for a few days or a few months or even a few years. So that is the target, is how do we best help this child. There's something that goes on when a juvenile when a juvenile does a crime that the state says we don't believe that there's enough provisions to get this kid straight in family court in juvenile justice. So what we do sometimes is called a waiver hearing, W-A-I-V-E-R. And that means that we are waiving or asking the court to waive that person up from being a juvenile to being an adult, where they would now go to General Sessions Court in front of Judge Carricker or Judge Hyman or Culbertson and be sentenced as an adult, no longer in the DJJ system. To do that, we have to have a mini trial or a waiver hearing. And they will be represented by a defense attorney or a public defender that will come in and sit beside them. And we're basically arguing over something called the Kent factors, K-E-N-T. And I'm going to provide those on the screen for you to just look at. Now, what's important to keep in mind on those Kent factors is there's like 8 of them. But one very strong Kent factor may have the judge say, I need to send this person as an adult. There may be 7 or 8 that would go in favor of keeping him as a child, and one to say move him as an adult, and the judge can say move him up. There may be 7 or 8 things that say move him up as an adult, and one, it's not an all or nothing. It's not trying to get the majority of the Kent factors. One alone can sway the needle, depending on if that's strong enough. But you'll see sort of as you read through those Kent factors, okay, I get it. They are really trying to magnify what kind of education systems this guy. Is this a kid a leader or a follower? Is this an adult crime, or is this just a juvenile and the juvenile crime, and the state is kind of overreaching? But those are the things that the judge has to consider. The judge will hear all of those cases, all of those factors, and we'll put up testimony on each one. And at the end of the day, the judge will sign an order saying leave this person as a child or waive this person up as an adult. If they are waived up as an adult, they will go in front of the adult court, and they will still stay at DJJ until they reach a certain age, and I think that is 18, because J. Reuben Long can't keep people that are under that age. So they'll keep them until they reach a certain age, and then because they're an adult, they'll be moved over to J. Reuben Long and be treated constantly like an adult. I'm not going to try to tell you any differently than what I've seen, but most of the time when a kid, juvenile, gets waived up as an adult, we still know it didn't catch anybody surprised at their young age. So they may still, instead of getting 30 or 40 years, they may get 20 years. Without the judge even really weighing in on it, we may make a recommendation to give them something less because they are different than a 40-year-old committing a crime. So we'll get a lot of questions about juveniles. We've had to do a lot more since Change the Age, but we only do it 4 or 5 times a year. And we try to treat most juveniles as juveniles in juvenile court, which is family court. Y'all have a great week.